The challenging part of a score is the most fun. If you only do the things that are naturally easy, you can be happy and go home, but I want to grow and I want to find out what's possible. I'm Volker Bertelmann and I'm the composer of The Amateur. The score is, if it's a good score, it doesn't feel like it's overpowering, it's always supporting. The score is in a way serving the film to be a good film. I worked already with the director James Hawes on a film called One Life. I really loved working with him.
I'm James Hawes, I'm the director of The Amateur. I think it's always different when you work with the collaborator the second time, because obviously there's a shorthand in the language, but there's an element of trust.
You have to find words. So when somebody says, I want to have this dark, that can mean for somebody that's doom metal. And for another person, it means like it's a little bit of a low wind. If you work with a director the first time, it's a long process of finding those elements.
You can be a bit more blunt, you can be a little bit more straight. You're also very much more trusting.
There was still a trust that in the end we will find an answer.
And Volker is such an extraordinary, patient, creative collaborator. It's just exciting to be working with him again.
Also, what is always important for me is that you have a collaboration process with someone who strengthens your approach.
There's a rawness to this, there's an emotion to this story. It's not just a spy thriller. And you could feel the kind of visceral music that was going to need.
There are different types of thrillers. There are thrillers that are mainly action, and then there are investigative thrillers. The tension is always under the surface. I would say this thriller is a little bit more of that category. It's more like a puzzle where things are slowly coming together. When there is a chase that you're really getting breathless, but the other time you're getting soaked into the investigation of someone. I really love things like that.
At the heart of this film is a story of huge emotional loss, where our leading character loses his wife.
The Amateur is about one man trying to have a revenge plan. He's much more like an intelligent person rather than a pure killer. To find the tonality in the music that reflects his intelligence and his way of thinking, I had to get the grittiness in it, which I tried with electronics, but also with experimental sounds from strings.
I think the gritty element that Volker has brought to it is absolutely crucial. It elevates it from being a familiar orchestral score. It gives it an edge and at times a dissonance that reflects the world of the story.
While we were working on the film, there was a lot of the expression that James wanted to have the Volker dust.
Okay, so halfway through the process of discussing the score and looking for a way to describe Volker's magic,
the textures and let's say the things that are gritty.
I conjured the phrase Volker dust,
which I totally will use in all the other films now. Whenever it comes up to, can you make it a little bit more gritty? I will say, okay, I will sparkle the dust on it.
And it's his special composing dust that he can sprinkle onto a score that makes it so distinctive.
I had to find sounds to make the score recognizable. For example, the bass harmonica, when I was looking for something gritty and low, I said, why don't I should try that, because it was lying on my desk. I just blew into it and I was like, oh, this is great. I also used a lot of, let's say, different techniques on the strings to actually get this tension, to give it a kind of voice, using glissandos coming from different sides of the scales. The notes coming from left and right. They come from low and high to the center. I wanted to find certain melodies that I can use in certain areas of the film where the main protagonist, when he appears and he's trying to investigate, and there's also a kind of theme for thinking about his wife.
Right at the beginning of the film, we hear Sarah's theme. And then that is developed and echoed and haunts us. Her presence is there. Her presence is driving Charlie through it. So we needed the score to help support that and to establish what her theme was.
There's a lot of emotions in the memories, and then there's the thriller aspect of finding the people that killed her. As I said this morning, it's a little bit for me like a holiday every time I come here, because it's one of the nicest process.
It is genuinely one of the most thrilling parts of the entire process.
The score gets the certain dimension which you can't have in your own studio.
It's giving me tingles on the back of my neck to think about it. You sit there and you have the privilege, honestly, to be in the control room with dozens of live players outside, bringing emotional life to the story you've spent months trying to conjure. It is utterly thrilling and does something that only music can do.